Bueno, Luis no puede estar aquí con nosotros, pero tenemos una invitada del norte, de muy norte. Bueno, Fer, puedes pasar y pues oramos por Fer para empezar. Y bueno, gracias, Señor, por la vida de Fer. Señor, te pido que la guíes, Señor, y que pues tus palabras salgan de su boca, Señor, y que pues sea tu voluntad aquí en este lugar hoy, en esta noche. Gracias, Señor. En tu bendito nombre, Jesús. Amén.
Pues qué gusto estar aquí en casa. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to do it in English, if that's okay. Oh, bueno, de los dos. Okay. Bueno, pues de lo que yo les voy a compartir es algo que ha estado en mi corazón y algo que yo he vivido. Y pues vamos a empezar hablando del rey Salomón. Para los que no saben quién es el rey Salomón, él es el hijo de David. He was one of the most talented and gifted men who ever lived. King David, that was King David. But King Solomon, he was the richest man on earth. He inherited a vast kingdom with wealth and peace. He ruled over Israel for 40 years without going to war. Instead of pouring his resources into war like his father, he used his resources for a more pleasurable and prosperous life, not just for him, but for Israel. He built the Temple of Jerusalem, which is one of the 7 wonders of the world. He was unrivaled in wisdom. 1 Kings 10:24 says that all the earth was seeking the presence of King Solomon to hear his wisdom, which God had put in his heart. He developed copper and silver and gold mines and exported these metals to the world. So we're going to be talking about King Solomon. So if you guys could open your Bibles to Ecclesiastes 1. Ecclesiastes 1. So Ecclesiastes 1:12. And this is King Solomon speaking. And he says, I, the teacher, was king over Israel and Jerusalem. I applied my mind to study and to explore by wisdom all that is done under the heavens. What a heavy burden God has laid on mankind. I have seen all the things that are done under the sun. All of them are meaningless, a chasing after the wind. What is crooked cannot be straightened. What is lacking cannot be counted. I said to myself, look, I have increased in wisdom more than anybody who has ruled over Jerusalem before me. I have experienced much of wisdom and knowledge. Then I applied myself to the understanding of wisdom and all the madness and folly, but I learned that this too is a chasing after the wind. For with much wisdom comes much sorrow. The more knowledge, the more grief. I said to myself, come now, I will test you with the pleasure to find out what is good. But that also proved to be meaningless. Laughter, I said, is madness, and what does pleasure accomplish? I tried cheering myself with wine and embracing folly. My mind is still guiding me with wisdom. I wanted to see what was good for people to do under the heavens during the few days of their lives. I undertook great projects. I built houses for myself, and I planted vineyards. I made gardens and parks and planted all kinds of fruit and trees in them. I made reservoirs to water groves of flourishing trees. I bought male and female slaves and had other slaves who were born in my house. I also owned more herds and flocks than anyone in Jerusalem before me. I made silver and gold for myself and the treasures of kings and provinces. I acquired male and female singers and a harem as well, the delights of a man's heart. I became greater by far than anyone in Jerusalem before me. In all this my wisdom stayed with me. I denied myself nothing in my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure. My heart took delight in all my labor. And this was the reward of all my toil. Yet when I survived all that my hands had done and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. And then he goes on and says, then I turned my thoughts to consider wisdom and also madness and folly. What more can the king's successor do than what was already been done? I saw that wisdom is better than folly, just as light is better than darkness. The wise have eyes in their heads, while the fool walks in the darkness. But I came to realize that the same fate overtakes them both. Then I said to myself, the fate of the fool will overtake me also. What then do I do by being wise? I said to myself, this is too meaningless. For the wise, like the fool, will be long remembered. The days have already come when both have been forgotten. Like the fool, the wise too must die. And then he concludes and says, so I hated life, because the work that is done under the sun was grievous to me. All of it is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. I hated all the things I had toiled under the sun, because I must leave them to the one who comes after me. And he knows whether that person will be wise or foolish. Yet they will have control over all the fruit of my toil, into which I have poured my effort and skill under the sun. This is too meaningless. So my heart began to despair over all the toilsome labor under the sun. For a person may labor with wisdom, knowledge, and skill, and then they must leave all their own to another who has not toiled for it. This is too meaningless and a great misfortune. What do people get for all the toil and anxious striving with which they labor under the sun? All their days, their work is grief and pain. Even at night, their minds do not rest. This is meaningless. So that was a long passage. But if you were kind of able to understand what King Solomon was saying, he kept saying a lot of the times under the sun, and things under the sun are meaningless. And if you didn't catch it, under the sun means apart from God. And so from the very beginning, he starts saying that he tried gaining wisdom and knowledge under the sun, so apart from God, and he just thought it was meaningless. And then he says that he tried finding pleasure in things that mankind find pleasures in, which is, he said, I tried wine and I tried, partying and all this stuff, and he thought it was meaningless. And so, if you remember that I said that one of the characteristics of King Solomon, he was a great man. He had everything. I mean, he was one of the wealthiest men on earth. He had pretty much everything. He was wise. He was at the top of his career. Pretty much like everything that a lot of us strive for. I mean, he had it all. And in the end, he just said, all those things mean nothing apart from God. He ended up concluding that everything is vanity, that everything is empty and fleeting. Apart from God, it's empty and fleeting. King Solomon tried everything that he thought could make him happy apart from God. He searched for the meaning of life in wisdom, pleasures, entertainment. And at the end of it all, he judged it as madness and without accomplishment. Not only did he have everything, but he did so much with his life. He created the temple, he established so many vineyards, and he grew Israel. He made Israel grow and made Israel very prosperous. But Solomon examined his life, lived for pleasure, and he thought it was meaningless. So if you think about it, I mean, I know I'm not anybody important or anything, But he was a great man, and he was the king of all of Israel, and like he was known by everyone. He was respected by everybody. And he said that everything apart from God was just meaningless. Like, it was vanity. I know that we live in a world where we just desire more and want more. We're never satisfied with anything. I know for myself, like, I always thought that, when I would be 16, it would be awesome and it's going to be great. And then I was 16 and it wasn't what I thought it was. And then I desired to be 18, and then I turned 18 and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Now I'm 20 and I don't know. And I know for a lot of people it's like, okay, once I have this job, I'm going to be fine, it's going to be great. Or once I get married, or once I have kids, or whatever. And we're just never completely satisfied. I know for me, I struggle a lot with like thinking, once I, 2 years ago before I went to college, like once I go to college, like this is going to be it. Like this is going to be my 4 years. It's going to be great. I'm going to find myself, blah, blah, blah. And here I am. We all crave happiness. We crave satisfaction, pleasure. And I mean, we see it everywhere. We see it at school. We see it in our jobs. Everybody's always like longing for something more, a better relationship, better grades. I mean, you should long for better grades, but but the thing is, man is conscious of an unfulfilled purpose. We're all lacking something. We're all lack something, and we all know it. So we all try to fill it with different things. And I know we've all heard it many times that we all go to parties and we all do this because we want that like temporary pleasures. And we've all heard it. A lot of people have told us. They tell us here all the time. But for me, reading Ecclesiastes, it was like King Solomon. I can't wrap my head around how great he was, and he literally had everything. Like, I bet he was even more wealthy than like Bill Gates, and maybe like the richest man on earth right now. Like, he had more than he did, and he literally had it all. Like, he had the best career, he had all the riches, all the wealth, and he still thought that life was meaningless apart from God. We all have that desire to be somebody, or we all have that desire to have something or to attain something. But in the end, we discover that what we wanted, it wasn't what we thought. And I know we've heard it a lot of times, but once it like makes sense and once it clicks in our heads that Jesus is our complete satisfaction, in Jesus, we have a purpose. He adopts us as his children. Life is full and rich in Jesus. Nothing that we do is in vain. There's a purpose even to our failures. We were made to find joy in glorifying God. In any other pursuit is vanity. A lot of the times when we want other things that's not God, we think like, oh, like this is going to make me happy, and it's just numbing the pain. I know, like, being at college, I'm surrounded by things that are temporary pleasures, and I know a lot of my friends say like, oh, I'm going to go out and forget the pain and literally forget the night away, like. And they're just numbing the pain. They're just putting a Band-Aid on it. They're not actually healing what they're going through. Worldly pleasures make us believe that it will bring a lasting satisfaction. And we all fall into that trap of thinking like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to go out with my friends. We're going to drink. We're going to party. Like, it's going to be so much fun. And yeah, it may be fun, but in the end, it's just temporary. It's not everlasting. It's not lasting at all. So if you can go with me to Ecclesiastes 12. Okay, Ecclesiastes 12:13 through 14. So throughout these entire chapters, King Solomon is just pretty much saying how everything that he thought was bringing him satisfaction and happiness was just meaningless. And it isn't until chapter 12 that he says, "Now all that has been heard, here's the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it's good or evil." Since life under the sun won't satisfy, we should pursue life in Jesus, the only one who can completely satisfy us. Our identity shouldn't be found in how much money we make, or how many friends we have, or how many relationships we've been in. That's not going to satisfy. If you can go to Mark 8:36 with me, please. Okay, and it says, "For what shall it profit a man if he should gain the whole world and lose his own soul?" Jesus is saying, don't build your identity on gaining things in the world. Our culture tells us that you're nobody unless you gain a fulfilling career that brings money, reputation, and status. Jesus says that no matter how many of these things you gain, it's never enough to make you sure of who you are. If you're building your identity in somebody loves me, or if you're building your identity on I got a good career, and anything goes wrong with that relationship or that job, you fall apart. We can't build our identity on our parents' approval because that comes and goes. I mean, if you think about it, we live in a broken world with broken people. So if our happiness depends on Hello. Okay, good. So I'm sorry. We're all broken people, and if our happiness depends on other people and things that are going to fail us, we're going to be let down and we're going to fall apart. Jesus came to give us full satisfaction. And to me, when I was reading this, I really couldn't wrap my head around the fact that, yes, like we're all longing for something, we all want different things, and it's so hard to not say, oh, that car is really nice and I want it. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but once you think like, oh, I'm going to be completely happy if I have that car, or oh, I'm going to be completely happy if I'm in that relationship, or I'm going to be completely happy if I get into this school, or etc. Our happiness can't depend on things of this world, whether it's people or just career or anything, because that's going to fail us, and we're going to be broke. We're going to fall apart. Jesus went to the cross, and on the cross, he lost his identity so that you could have one. I'm sorry. Jesus gives us complete satisfaction. Because of him, we have received eternal life. I feel like it's so hard today to be surrounded by a culture that just wants more and more and more, and it's never satisfied. And I feel like for me, I took for granted what I had, and I know I still struggle with that, but what I have in Jesus, and I would just look around me and just see how everybody was just, living young, wild, and free, doing what they wanted to do, and, live with no regrets. But the thing is, that's just a temporary thing, and Jesus has so much more to offer, and we can't depend on anybody else than on him. And apart from God, everything else is meaningless. Like King Solomon said, in the end, like, we're all gonna die. I mean, that's the end to everything. Even everything that we do, our careers, our jobs, our school, everything, in the end, like, it has an end. And it's meaningless apart from God. And I'm not saying that we're still not going to have problems, because we still are, but Jesus is the one who holds us together, and he's never going to fail us. He's never going to disappoint us. If we depend on other people to make us happy, that's going to fail. Jesus is never going to fail us. He's always there for us. And like I said before, Jesus went to the cross, and on the cross he lost his identity so that we could have one. I literally rushed this, and I'm pretty much done. So I would like to end worshiping God and just telling him how much we want to be satisfied in him. And I know for me, it's hard to. I know one of my biggest prayers is just to ask God to completely satisfy me, and for me not to look in other things for complete satisfaction. we live in a world where people tell us, our culture tells us that we need people, and we need to be successful, and we need to be the best that we can be, and for us to be happy. And our culture just tells us that we need happiness, and we need to be happy, and we need to have joy, which is true. We do need that, but it literally points us away from God. I don't know where you stand today with your relationship with God. I know that I have been struggling with this, and I know as we get older, we start thinking about what we want to do in our life and what we want to be, and we have all these dreams and all these plans. But a lot of the times, for me, I didn't really consult with God about what I wanted, or, what He wanted. And sometimes we just get wrapped up in what everybody else is doing, or we get wrapped up in what we see on TV and movies, and it's so easy to fall in that trap of just thinking, I want this and I'll be fine, I'll be completely happy. Or if I didn't have these problems, I'd be fine. But King Solomon, he literally had everything. He was one of the greatest men on earth. He was son of the guy who was after God's own heart. He made Israel prosper. People searched for him because of his wisdom. He was very popular. He had all the fame, all the riches, and he still thought that it was meaningless. And I know we hear all the time that those are temporary pleasures, but they are. I mean, what's the end to that? They're gonna end. It's just one night. You go out partying, you go out drinking. It's just one night. You forget what happened. You forget of your pain for a little bit, but that's it. It's still gonna be there. And I guess I just wanted to share that Jesus is not meaningless. Jesus gave us a purpose. He gave us an identity. And He loves us unconditionally. And He's constantly pursuing us. And He's constantly chasing after us. We can't do life without Him. We can't do life under the sun, because we're going to fall apart. This past year, there were 2 suicides at my school. And I'm sure you have heard of stories around you, people around you, maybe at your school, that people feel lonely and they feel empty. And that's life under the sun. That's life apart from God. And I don't want anybody to miss out on the life that Jesus has for you. A life where you're constantly being pursued, and a life where Jesus is constantly opening his arms to you. We're going to fail people. We're going to fail other people. So if you depend on people for your happiness, you're going to fail them. And you know what? Maybe they won't want to be in that relationship anymore. But Jesus, we fail Jesus constantly, and Jesus is constantly pursuing us. He's constantly chasing after us. He's the only one who is not going to fail us. And I'm not saying that you can't depend on people, because you can. But if you depend on them for your complete happiness, for your complete satisfaction, then that's where you're going to fail. And you're going to be let down. So now I would like to have this time for you guys to think about what King Solomon said and what he came to realize. And just a time of worship where nothing else matters, and it's just you and Jesus. It's you and your Father.
satisfaces, solo tú llenas mi alma. Ese mundo nada tiene para mí, ese mundo nada tiene para mí. Solo tú me satisfaces, solo tú llenas mi alma. Ese mundo nada tiene para mí, ese mundo nada tiene para mí. Solo tú me satisfaces, solo tú llenas mi alma. Ese mundo nada tiene para mí, ese mundo nada tiene para mí. Solo tú me llena este lugar, llena este lugar, mi Dios, llena este lugar, oh, y llena hoy mi vida, Jesús, y arde el deseo de ver cara a cara, Jesús. Quiero ver tu presencia, permanecer, arde el deseo de ver cara a cara, Jesús. Quiero ver tu presencia, permanecer, muéstranos tu gloria, oh, y muéstranos tu gloria, mi Dios, y muéstranos tu gloria, oh, muéstranos tu gloria, necesitamos majestad, siempre tu amor me cambió por la belleza de tu majestad.
Hello. Okay. Si alguien tiene una petición de oración, si gustan que oremos por ustedes, si quieren pasar, puede ser por cualquier cosa. Estamos aquí para orar por ustedes y pues tengan toda la libertad de hacerlo. Gracias.
Come to
arms are open wide. Forgiveness was bought with the precious blood of Jesus Christ. Oh, come to the altar. The Father and Son are open wide. Forgiveness was bought with the precious blood of Jesus Christ. satisfaces, solo tú llenas mi alma. Y este mundo nada tiene para mí, y este mundo nada tiene para mí. Solo tú me satisfaces, solo tú llenas mi alma. Por la excelencia de conocerte, todo lo rindo ante tus pies. Todo es basura si se compara a tu glorioso respeto. Este mundo nada tiene para mí, este mundo nada tiene para mí. Solo tú me satisfaces, solo tú llenas mi alma. Este mundo nada tiene para mí, este mundo nada tiene para mí. Solo tú me satisfaces, solo tú llenas mi alma. Este mundo nada tiene para mí, este mundo nada tiene para mí. Solo tú me satisfaces, solo tú llenas mi alma. Este mundo nada tiene para mí, este mundo nada tiene para mí. Solo tú me satisfaces, solo tú llenas mi alma.
thank you, Father, for this message that we just received. Thank you because your word is always fresh, Lord. And because every day you speak to us. We thank you for the speaker that we had today, Lord. Please bless her and her family. And bless everybody that's here, Lord. Thank you for all of our lives, for keeping us safe. We thank you for another Wednesday. We pray for our youth pastors that can be here, for our pastors, Lord, the adolescent pastors, and we thank you for everything, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I think that's it. I don't know if there was any news or anything.